The hotel wake-up call asked for us. He'd set it for someone else. Hook. The hotel phone rang at 6:30 a.m. with a kind of mercy that only sounds that polite when it's about to break something. "Good morning, wake-up call for Parker and Jude," the voice said, cheerful as a lyre. I was in our kitchen, not in any hotel, scraping toast as if it could confess. The caller ID flashed the boutique place on Madison where my husband sometimes checks his donors into sleeping better. He'd set a wake-up call for two names, one of which wasn't mine. "My name is Jude. I'm 35. I write copy that sells people on the idea that patients can be delivered same day. My husband is Parker. He designs exhibits that tell rooms how to keep promises. We've been married 4 years and we're ferocious about decency. Coffee where a hand will find it. The good glasses, even for water, because ceremony should pull its weight. A kiss in the doorway with the thermostat glowing like a receipt. We are very good at not breaking. We have let heat study abroad." He came out of the bedroom with sleep in his eyes and the apology in his mouth that he knows how to make sound like a profession. "Early install," he said, reaching for his jacket. The hotel phone said otherwise. It had already told me he was bilingual. "You set a wake-up call for two," I said, sliding the toast his way like I was feeding the defendant. He didn't pretend not to understand. He did the wreckage I trust him for, because if I cannot love his honesty in a crisis, I don't know what I'm doing here. "I was going to tell you," he said. "Tell me in the room that thinks it knows us," I said. The hotel lobby smelled like citrus and other people's discretion. The clerk said "Welcome back" in the tone of a person whose job is to keep a straight face until the taxpayer leaves. I presented my smile. It did not need to be kind. Upstairs, the hallway carpet did that hush that makes secrets put on slippers. The door to 712 opened before I knocked. This is a city where guilt has learned to be helpful. The man who opened it had his sleeves rolled to the degree that makes statues nervous and a mouth that would be forgiven under fluorescent light and worshipped under anything warmer. He didn't smirk, which is how he won a percentage point back. "I'm Asher," he said. He didn't offer a hand. "Jude," I said. "Do you want me to leave?" he asked. It's still astonishing how erotic decency is when it isn't afraid. "Yes," I said. "Thank you," I added, because my mother is a religion, and I honor hinges even when the door is on fire. He nodded, brushed past with heat polite enough to be weather, and touched Parker's knuckles with 2 fingers. Punctuation, not claim. The door closed like a good employee. Parker stood in a room that had expected to be more interesting and looked at me like he was trying to memorize my face before it learned a new language. "You kissed him," I said. "Not a question. Questions are a courtesy I don't owe fiction." "Twice," he said, refusing to rehearse. "Once because I wanted to be chosen without auditioning. Once because I wanted to hurt us hard enough to move. Both times I thought of you. Both times I kept going." The room made its affidavit. Air vents sighing like a tired priest. An ice machine down the hall staging its own drama. A laugh through the wall like someone had survived. I put my hand where it belongs, between his shoulder blades, pressed into the square that convinces lungs to listen to instructions. We kept it clean because some cameras are always imagining you, and explicit enough that the glass learned our names. My mouth found the place under his jaw where my name keeps paying rent. "I don't want to audition for your forgiveness," he said against my collar, unhandsome in the way I trust. "I want to be chosen and then worth it." "Then stop setting alarms in rooms that invoice," I said. "Move the mercy to our kitchen." We didn't sit on the bed the hotel thought it owned. We stood by the window and practiced inventory because we had invented a ritual for this, and if you don't use rituals when you need them, you don't deserve them. 3 facts, 2 fears, 1 want. No prosecution. His facts. He'd texted Asher ending it. He told the registrar he needed a month off from donors who believe benches are a metaphor for virtue. He'd blocked Thursdays on his calendar with "Make Heat AT Home" in caps, because sometimes drama is a necessary tool. His fears were adult and not theatrical. His want was me in a grammar that made my name heavier than a key. We left before the room could pretend to be useful. On the street, the city attempted to take responsibility with sirens and bakery smells. We declined. Back home, I did the one decent thing I have that doesn't require applause. I taped a square of blue painter's tape to the kitchen window and wrote 807 above it with the pencil that lives beside the calendar. 4 minutes of breath with his palm where breath listens. 3 minutes of inventory. Water in the good glasses at 8:20 because a small noise sometimes prevents a large one. We live by this when we remember too. We remember now. At 3:15 my phone buzzed a push alert no app will claim authorship for. Listen to 11 seconds of water. I sent present/bus stop. He replied present/load-in, which is museum for I'm up where the weight is, making sure nothing falls on you while you walk under it. Not sorry. Present. Which is sexier when it's honest. At 5:58 the doorbell cleared its throat. Through the peephole, white shirt, sleeves illegal, face determined to perform decency. I opened the door because peephole morality is smug. Asher held up a hotel key in a cardboard jacket like a lawyer offering evidence. "I came to return this," he said, "and say I'm out of your story." He meant it. I nodded. "Do you want me to leave?" he added, doubling down on the only charm I trust. "Yes," I said. "Thank you," I added. He set the key on the table in the hallway and left like he understood what doors are for. At 8:07, the square did what it was hired to do. Parker set his palm to the back of the heart, and my lungs obeyed like they had been looking for a job. At 8:12, inventory. His facts were useful in ways I resent but respect. He'd canceled the gala after hours he didn't need. He'd unfollowed a hashtag that traffics in flattery. He'd set a recurring alarm named "Wake Up Where You Live." His fears were smaller than theater and larger than gossip. His want was my name, without a grin to carry it. We drank water like a sacrament for secular men who have decided to deserve something. The erotic part wasn't the hotel or the white shirt rolled one button too far. It was obedience done with tenderness. It was my saliva tasting like my own name. It wasn't tidy. Twice that week he was late and the old monologue in my throat powdered its nose, straightened its tie, and asked for a stage. I made it sit by the sink and listened to the refrigerator explain adulthood. Once I saw Asher on Madison, tie loosened to the illegal degree, laughing with a woman whose earrings looked like punctuation. He lifted 2 fingers, weather, not invitation. I nodded back because spite is expensive and I intend to retire loved. We fought properly, quietly like citizens, accurately like men who intend to stay. I asked why applause still dresses up as oxygen in his chest. He asked why I polish dignity until it becomes a slip hazard. I said I am tired of writing copy for us that reads like compliance. He said he forgot he could ask me for heat. Our sentences were small and useful and weighed more than shouted lies. He said Asher's name twice without flinching. He said mine like an address he pays rent on time for. The hotel sent a survey. "How was your morning?" I wrote. "Your water pressure is honest, your lighting complicit, our loyalty program is moving to the kitchen." I didn't hit send. I read it to him at 8:20 while our glasses clicked a little hymn, and he kissed the hinge of my smile like feedback should be taken physically. We established customs at the border of home. When one of us opens the door, he says, "I'm in," aloud. The hallway light is on a sensor now. It wakes when we cross the air we pay for. If one of us has to be late, he texts present place. The lock clicks like a paid witness. We tip it with patience so it keeps telling the truth. One night we went back to the museum after hours because Parker had to approve a dimmer cue, and I had to retrain my body not to hate rooms that flatter strangers. The empty gallery did that velvet hush that makes feelings sound like science. He tuned a skylight until a sculpture told the truth about its own weight. "Walk with me," he said, which is our language for I need to be seen doing this without applause. We stepped onto the catwalk where steel remembers its vows. He put my hand on a dimmer and told me when to stop. Clean. Explicit enough that metal learned our names. The security camera bowed and retired. We had relapses. A donor wanted a quick drink that lasted 2 hours and tasted like compliment. A morning when I replied to his inventory with a joke because jokes are how I dodge invoices. Each time the square caught us. Some nights all we did was breathe. Some nights decency failed and the window forgave us by being glass. We are still men. We are trying to be better ones. People ask, in bathroom lines, under misbehaving streetlights, across sinks that have seen better metaphors, who the villain was. They want me to say a man with forgiving wrists, or a hotel with forgiving light, or a husband who outsourced urgency to a wake-up call. The truth humiliates us evenly. That's why it helps. The villain was the version of us that treated heat like an errand and romance like a feature. The miracle is repetitive and small. Knock on our own door. Say where we are. Set a palm where breath listens. Count to 60, try again. The erotic part wasn't a glass wall pretending to make privacy modern or a robe surrendering to the idea of shoulders. It was water in the good glasses clicking like an alphabet we finally decided to learn. It was my name in his mouth at the windows blue, spoken like rent paid on time. It was his hand on my back in public, quick. Nothing for cameras, everything for the animal in me who wants to be found rather than guessed. Last night he set an alarm and put the phone on the counter face up. The label read, "Wake up where you live." He came to bed early and put his mouth on mine the way men who intend to stay do. At 8:07 the square did what it was hired for. The city attempted narration, we accepted silence. At 8:12 we inventoried. At 8:20 the glasses said their small truth. If we miss, we'll try again. 8:17, 10, 10, 11, 11, whenever mercy clocks in. Somewhere a clerk is dialing a room where two names don't belong together. Our door knows our knock. It keeps opening when we ask it to.